Oh, we're live. Hi, everyone. My name is Eviatar, and today we are going to do a presentation on bridges. Oh, you can see my screen, so let's start the presentation. I'll show you everything. Oops, that shouldn't be here. All right, that looks good. Okay, hopefully you see everything. Yeah, it should be good. So, hi everyone. My name is Eviatar, as I already presented myself, and I am security researcher in Certora. And today we will be talking about breaches, security, decentralization, and how to hopefully save our money from the cruel attackers and APTs. Let's go. Who am I? I'm an offensive security researcher with 7 years of experience, pretty much, in the field, including relevant military service, technical and management positions in competitive and high stakes environments. My expertise is mainly in vulnerability research, security research, attack, and red teaming. In my experience, I also attacked and tested operating systems and everything from everything, so I know how the red teaming goes. I've looked at everything from the attacker's perspective and also from the perspective of defenders and engineers. So hopefully you'll enjoy my point of view and I'll help you to secure yourself. What are we going to talk about? Recent breach exploits and what actually broke. Why this actually, I should mention that this is going to be about the kelp attack and not about the today exploit on the bridges. I will not talk about it today because it's new and I don't think anything is public right now. Um, yeah, what actually broke? Why the centralized systems still have points of failure? DVN, RPCs, configurations, and avoiding a single authority landmines. What should have been done differently? How to think as the attacker and what it takes to secure yourself from an APT. And at the end, we will have a short, maybe long Q&A session, depends on you, where you could ask me some questions and I will answer them. The Kelp DAO incident. I think everybody here already heard about it, but today we will dive deeper, into why and how it happened, and then learn how we can prevent it from happening later. Before we dive into the incident, let's cover the basics of bridging and layer zero bridge. So we have like common ground. So what is a bridge? A bridge is a protocol that lets assets, data, or messages move between two different blockchains. So users can interact across otherwise separate networks. How bridges validate messages and transactions? Why is it complicated? Bridges validation logic uh, lives off-chain in a backend relayer or validator set. Then users must trust that logic instead of being able to check its correctness fully on-chain via pure cryptography. So, meaning that we can't not anyone could check the correctness of the messages, and they could be mocked or poisoned, as we will see later. How layer zero bridge works. The layer zero bridge has an on-chain and off-chain components. The on-chain components are two endpoints, one on each blockchain. On the off-chain, happens the message verification between bridges. The message verification happens via the DVNs and RPC nodes. DVNs are decentralized verified network units and they are layer zero's off-chain security layer that checks whether cross-chain messages are valid and have not been tampered with. is the central validator set of the off-chain protocol. RPC nodes are basically the API gateway between your DApp and the blockchain. They allow you to read the on-chain state from the off-chain side of core code or your app. And now that we know the basics, let's see how it is implemented. So here we can see the model of the layer 0 bridge, and it starts from here, from the on-chain side, where an endpoint is creating an event. And the bridge actually uses three RPCs in our case to check this message, if it is correct, if all of them agree, and has not been tampered. Now, here we can see that when we get the quorum of the RPCs, the DVN, and in our case, only one DVN, verifies the packets and delivers it to the second endpoint on another chain of the bridge. So this is the flow. The RPCs are the main and the first part of the validation process, then the DVN, and then we trust the message. Now here, actually, we can see the configuration of the DVN before the attack. We could see that this is the ID of our endpoint, and we see the required DVN count is 1. Let's remember this part. So, as any other investigator, when we have a Web3 attack and funds theft, we want to start the investigation from the on-chain smart contracts and see where were the vulnerabilities that led to the attack. Today, though, I will cut the vulnerability research and bug hunting process from my presentation. It's not that cool, actually, unfortunately. And we will leave this to the side and just show the events of the attack itself and what happened. And yeah, let's just dive into it. Okay. So, as the investigators of the incident, let's try to figure out what happened here. Let's take a look on the on-chain side and try to investigate what happened. On 533, here actually, we see the DVN accepts a transaction. And at 535, we see that the attacker, as we know now, calls the LZ receive on the layer 0. Which releases the attacker's 160,000 of RS ETH. But wait, how? The only thing the attacker did was call LZ receive. So it looks like it's just normal, right? Or maybe the vulnerability is in the LZ receive function? Case closed? Well, actually, no. In the current attack, all the interesting things actually happened on the Web2 part and off-chain side, keeping the smart contract security entirely. So, what actually happened? Now let's see how the attack took place. And here, after investigating what happened on the on-chain, we could see the actual flow of events and the attack chain. First of all, the attackers found which RPC nodes the breach uses. Why would they be interested in such a thing? Well, the attackers is always looking for the weak link in the chain. After understanding which nodes are in use, the attacker chose two layer 0 internal nodes that operated on separate clusters. The interesting part here that I want you to remember is that they are two internal nodes of layer 0 itself. As we see here, the attacker didn't even need to attack someone else, some other RPC node owners, as the configuration of layer 0 allowed a completely internal consensus. Let's remember this. Also, the RPCs ran on different clusters, which tells us that separating the RPCs into different clusters or servers isn't sufficient enough defense by itself for your nodes, and we will get into the reasons why later. After the RPCs were compromised, the attacker replaced the binaries they ran with his malware that has done a pretty good job actually, severing the poisoned state, which is the bridge exploit itself. And not only that, but the malware played innocent and hid itself, cleared the logs, and served all the other customers correctly, making the attack undetectable until the falsified states were served, which could have been done much later than the RPC compromise and malware injection. So what we have here is a malware that hid itself, and the attack on the RPCs could have actually been done months before that, or a long time before the attack actually happened. So the attackers could prepare everything else until they're ready to attack and exploit the bridge. After everything was ready for the attack, the last part is the elimination of other RPCs from the picture. After the attackers knew from step one what are the RPC nodes, DDoSing them was no trouble for them. Of course, something to mention is that the attackers compromised RPCs poisoned the only one out of one DVN that was meant to deliver the decentralized security and prevent the attack. Now let's dive into the impact of the attack after the attackers actually succeeded. Within minutes of receiving the 160,000 of RST, which was like approximately 290 million of dollars, the attacker deposited large tranches of RSETH into Aave, Ethereum, on Ethereum, Compound, and Euler as collateral. Roughly 89,000 of RSETH ended up as a collateral on Aave, backing loans of about 82,000 of wrapped ETH and 829 WST ETH across Ethereum and Arbitrum deployments. Against this RSE collateral, the attacker borrowed highly liquid assets, approximately 196 million USD, equivalent of wrapped ETH on Aave V3 alone. Roughly 236 million USD combined across Aave, Compound, and Euler. In conclusion, the attacker stole approximately 175 million ETH pre-launching, and 71 of that was frozen in Arbitrum chain and are expected to be recovered, which is great, but not that great. Actually, here props for Kelp for fast response that stopped another 200 million in transactions. So many of you might ask, where is the decentralization and why didn't it help in this decentralized app? The principle that leads our industry. First of all, let's understand the meaning of the word decentralization. For that, I went to my best friend, the Oxford English Dictionary, and here is the answer I got. Decentralization in Web3 means spreading control, data, and infrastructure across many independent nodes instead of relying on one central company or server. Now, I want you to remember that, and we will get to it a bit later. And well, the answer is simple then. The diap forgot the D. Now that we know what decentralization means, we can easily answer what were the vulnerabilities and misconceptions of the protocol and why did it go wrong. So help me, chat. What was done wrong? Please write in the chat. Let's see how many of you are live here. What decentralization principles were missed in this infrastructure? And for that, if we could get in the comments, good morning. Okay. So for now, I want you to write in the chat what principles were broken. I'll wait a couple of minutes for you to write that, and if we and we'll continue then. Let's see. Let's wait a couple of moments. And okay, so for now we don't have answers, and that's okay. It's complicated. So I'll just go through the principles, and we'll uh, we'll see what was done wrong. So the first thing that was done wrong is the single DVN consensus. Um, Only one DVN decides the correctness of the messages, transactions, meaning there is no spreading control and no across many independent nodes. The DVN and the RPCs, which the DVN relied on, were controlled by layer zero itself, meaning there is no spreading control again, and no instead of relying on one central company. And then we have also all the RPCs that were compromised and could provide a quorum were controlled by one company. Again, layer zero in our case. And again, no, instead of relying on one central company and no spreading control. Finally, after the RPCs were not on the same cluster, they most likely use the same development environment. And this is my guess, but most likely, because compromising two different RPCs in different ways is pretty complicated. And I think because of that, the attackers chose to attack both of them from probably some supply chain attack or a CI/CD pipeline. And uh, this also leaves the principles of not relying on one central company or server to wander. Now, fixing each of those problems would have helped against the attack. If there were multiple DVNs set in the configuration, the attackers would have needed to attack multiple endpoints, which is harder than attacking one of them, instead of a single DVN. They would have needed to compromise multiple DVNs for each DVN attack, different RPCs, and more complications to bypass this. If the DVNs are the RPC and the RPC would have been spread out between different companies, a single network breach or supply chain attack wouldn't have been worked here. Same thing with the RPCs under one company. So here we see a case where a D app wasn't that decentralized, and that led to a pretty easy attack chain and attack vector on the whole breach. Here actually we can see that now there are 4 DVNs needed for the confirmation, which is great and will work much better than a 1 out of 1 DVN. So, does decentralization fixes everything? We've seen that it helps a lot and fixes many of the problems that were present during the attack. But unfortunately, the answer is no. Other than the decentralization features that were missed, there were other problems inside. Compromise of the RPCs was not a decentralization issue, but a simple, maybe not that simple actually, Web2 attack that could have been done via web attack that led to an RC on those RPCs, or a phishing or a social engineering attack that could have been placed the first foothold in the company's network, a cloud breach, a supply chain attack, and even a network compromise and lateral movement to jump onto those RPCs. There were no defense mechanisms after the attack. The RPC servers didn't notice the binaries were swapped, so they probably didn't have the appropriate AVs and EDRs to notice the swap and actually the compromise itself. I think most of the um, current AVs check for switch binaries and see such a breach. And what we have here is an attack that didn't even care about those. There was no monitoring set. The DDoS attack on the other RPCs went unnoticed, and the breach, when it should have immediately raised the flag and handled the attack right there and right now. The DVN RPCs leak is another issue that the decentralization couldn't have solved. So as we can see here, the centralization is good, but not good enough, unfortunately. But Eviatar, how do we protect the bridge? I'm glad you asked. And the answer for this crucial question is, well, it's complicated. I can't lie to you. But the main idea is to trust no one and trust nothing. To protect ourselves from high-end APT groups coming for our money, we need to make their life the hardest we can. This means that anything that can be trusted shouldn't be and should be double checked. Any endpoint, wallet, server, password, email, and everything else should be in doubt and checked before relying on it. In the next few slides, I will break down how the attacker thinks and what should be taken in mind when we're trying to defend against them. The centralization and distributing risk factors between different authorities is the key to not fall into a single point of failure. And this is what we want to get. Attacker mindset, how APT thinks and how to prevent them from targeting us. To stop the attacker, we need to think like the attacker. We need to get into his mindset and imagine ourselves as the hacker of our own protocol. The attackers in the Web3 world have one target in mind, money. This is the reason that we see mostly the dictatorships attacking in the Web3 to continue financing the regimes with stolen money. The attackers will do anything to succeed and steal our money. We want to make their life as hard as possible because even hackers are people and people don't like hard things. When an attacker sees that the smart contract is strong and fights the vulnerabilities, he goes to for the next attack vector until he finds the easiest and weakest one in the target's infrastructure. In our case, it was the RPC compromise, but it can be more than that. It can be smart contracts, the website, the DApps, the social engineering vector, it can be the company network, it can be the RPCs and DVNs, can be a wallet security, a password leak, it can be anything and everything. And for that reason, we shouldn't trust nothing, and we should take into consideration that everything can be hacked and stolen. So let's dive into the bridge defense and practical. Um, for, yeah, for now, I will talk mainly about the Web2 side of things, which is many times forgotten in a Web3 industry. Your website is the most straightforward for the attackers to access your network clients. It is public, it connects to your backend, or is hosted on your network. And all the clients come to this endpoint and interact with it. So injecting compromise in it puts everyone in risk. Always write your code with security in mind. Here are actually the practical steps that I suggest you to implement in each of your infrastructure and here currently in the website and the apps and your DApp security. Always write your code with security in mind. Code that is written securely on the first go is much better than code that fixes and secured on the last step. Audit. We're all people and we all make mistakes and leave vulnerabilities. So another look from a professional is a must. Keep your dependencies up to date. Your dependencies packages are the easiest supply chain attack vector, and although packages we use do want to stay up to date, and we do want to stay up to date and not be vulnerable to 1 days, which are vulnerabilities that are already known. The 1 day. Setting up the right security headers can help you stop a lot of client-side attacks that are targeting your clients. Some of them are cross-site scripting and clickjacking, and many more attacks are saved by adding the right security headers, and it actually doesn't cost you a lot, so you should add them. Make the attacker's life as hard as you can. Even if your website or DApp was exploited, We want to kick the attacker and notice the attack as fast as possible to mitigate the vulnerability and reduce the attack impact. Setting up the antivirus EDR firewall correctly is a crucial step to defend your endpoints and servers. If the antivirus or EDR was set up correctly on the RPC endpoints, the compromise would have probably been stopped. Here we actually can see some attacks on the website and DApps. Here I've taken two attacks on Compound actually. One of them was pretty recent on March 9th. And yeah, so this is very relevant and make your websites secure again. Social engineering. Human-centric defense. Treat your team as a security layer. Awareness training is effective, but must be paired with clear verified procedures for handling sensitive requests. We want the whole team, everyone, even if they don't touch tech at all, we want all of them to know that phishings are a thing, and using everyone from the company as a tool to attack and compromise the network is a common attack vector, and they should know what to do when they receive such a mail or are being targeted to this attack. Verification protocol. Establish an out-of-band verification for high impact actions. Never accept a change to payment details, administrative access, or key management solely via email or chat. Verify over a separate pre-authenticated channel. You should always decide beforehand where is your secure channel of sending messages. As we've seen here, messages are um, quite a tool for attackers to compromise the whole protocol and your whole product. So you want to consider beforehand what are the secure parts that we want to trust. And unfortunately, we have to trust some of them and talk and make decisions only via them. Privilege management. Even if an employee is strict, they should never have the keys to the kingdom or to the contract in our case. So restrict the administrative access to the so that an individual compromise cannot escalate into a total system failure. So this is actually a critical part, and it should be done on your network and on anything actually with in a multi-sig, and we want to have the least amount of people with permissions that we have to actually. This way, the attack surface of the attacker is much smaller, and his success is um, will probably fail. Okay, multi-factor authentication. Enforce hardware-based or phone-based multi-factor authentication for all internet accounts. SMS are less secure as they are vulnerable to sophisticated phishing and session hijacking, but it's better than nothing. Hardware keys provide the highest resistance. Multisig. Multisig wallets transform security from a single point of failure model to a quorum-based model. In a single key setup, the security of your entire treasury rests on one person judgment and one device's integrity. In a multi-sig setup, you distribute that risk across multiple people. And this is a great concept that actually connects with the decentralization concept that we talked about. We want to distribute our trust and risk factors between as much people or devices or points of failure as we can. And here I actually added a social engineering attack that happened really recently on Drift. A really complicated attack that took more than half a year, but social engineering is a real threat, as we can see. And now we get to the RPCs and DVN security. Now the DVNs exists only on layer zero, but we want to spread the authority, even if it's called something else. We want to have as much oracles, DVNs, RPCs as we want, as we can. And all the principles I will talk about are relevant to those as well. We already covered some of the key points, but let's go over them again. So first thing is secure configuration. What we want here is to trust no one and understand that everything can be hacked. So we want to have multiple DVNs and multiple RPCs and multiple of everything. So if some of them are hacked, we are still standing strong. Decentralization. Make sure that those DVNs and RPCs are distributed and divided between different parties, and do not use one point of failure, such as same server or same CI/CD, etc. If we make a decentralized application, let's make it really decentralized. Hardening of the system. Make sure the RPCs and DVNs are secured as a system. Set up AVs, EDRs, rate limiting, and firewalls, and everything that will stop the attacker from even thinking about targeting them. Monitoring. Set the proper monitoring for the RPCs and DVNs. Your team should be the first to see that your points of trust are under attack, even if it is a DDoS attack. How Certora can help you? Well, at Certora, we approach cross-chain security as a design principle, discipline, formal verification of on-chain invariants combined with rigorous reviews of verifier topology, rate controls, and failure modes is how this class of incident gets caught early. And actually, we cover everything that you need in security, from audits, on-chain and off-chain to formal verification. We can set up your AV, your EDRs, and make your environment safe. We also provide multi-sig and monitoring services. So basically, we do everything that could help you secure your protocol, your chain, and your company from an APT and attack. And just message us, and we will save your money. So that is it for the presentation. Thank you all for coming, and now we'll have some questions, hopefully, from you. Also, special thanks to Seth, Elad, Ilya, Elad, Lior, and Fiorella, which all helped me during the presentation, making it. And yeah, let's dive into the questions. We have some. Oh, actually, now I see that QRLAN answered with a single DVN, which is the right answer. Building lacked independent layers that could have. Uh, Here I see that Ryan Williams also suggested a great point in the decentralization issues. If we could show it to the screen. Yeah. So, do we have some questions in the chat? You can answer. Can ask everything. If it's about my great background, or myself, or Web2 attacks, or how do we want to secure your off-chain, it can be anything, and we'll gladly answer that. And if not, I think that everything went pretty good. And if there is no questions, I think that the presentation answered them by itself. Let's wait a couple of moments. Well, I think we don't have questions, which is great, and hope you enjoyed the lecture. Hope you learned something new. If you want to contact me or contact Certora for an audit, you can go into our website at certora.com. You can write me anywhere. Probably LinkedIn is the best, Eviatar Butin. And yeah, we'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you, everyone.